Joining us now live, Alex Gangitano. She is a White House correspondent with our partners at The Hill. Alex, it's always great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So as you interpret these numbers, the former president's lead, the tightening race between DeSantis and Haley, what does the latest polling tell you about the state of the GOP race overall?
Yeah, so it's definitely a good time for another debate, and I'm so thrilled that our partners at NewsNation are hosting it. I think, of course, it will be all eyes on DeSantis and Haley, like you mentioned. They're closing in. Haley's catching up to who has long been the second to Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis. And so it'll be interesting to see if she can actually turn that corner and take the lead as the second. Of course, Trump has this massive lead. He continues to. He's been able to hold on to it for months. But we have seen interesting polling that indicates that Haley is actually doing really well against President Biden. If she were to be the nominee, that would be a really interesting fight in 2024. But with Trump in the lead, it's hard to imagine anybody else but him, even after these debates and seeing if she shines or not.
Well, and one aspect of having her light shine even more is, I think, bringing up some of the main priorities Republican voters are concerned about. So I'm curious,
Right.
Alex, what's your reporting shown in terms of topics that are most important to the electorate?
Yeah, well, what's been fascinating this year is with so much going on globally, the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, that's usually something that people don't vote on, foreign policy issues. But in this case, this could be something that people vote on this year. And Nikki Haley is really, really strong on foreign policy issues because of her background, as the head of the UN over and for the US, for Trump. And working as a governor, she knows what she's talking about, and that's one of her strong suits on the debate stage. So that will be something worth watching tomorrow night. We also, of course, have healthcare issues as a top priority. Abortion was something that was huge in 2022 in the midterm elections, and Haley is more moderate on that than other folks on the stage. And last week, we saw former President Trump threaten to take away Obamacare and look for a change to Obamacare and something different in terms of healthcare benefits for Americans. And I think that will be a topic on the debate stage that we'll see who aligns with Trump on that or who wants to, put up another proposal that Republicans could actually use if they win the White House in 2024. So healthcare is another huge one. And then, of course, the economy. That's always a big one. That's the true kitchen table issue that people vote on. And everyone, I think, will be squarely focused on combating President Biden's policies on the economy and, these so-called Bidenomics, and pushing back and saying that inflation hasn't improved, things are still too high, and what would I be doing differently as president?
Well, it certainly impacts all of us. So I think arguably the goal of tomorrow night is to become the former president's alternative, so to speak. What do you think these four candidates need to do to differentiate themselves or to move the needle a bit to put them in that position?
Yeah, we're in an interesting dynamic of how do you go into the position of how will former President Trump choose me as a running mate, which is something that people think Ramaswamy is kind of trying to fill that gap, or maybe even a DeSantis. But of course, there's the Trump-DeSantis bickering that goes on pretty often. So there's that slop, or there's the alternative. If something were to happen to Trump legally or whatever else, that popularity, who knows, that there needs to be an alternative. Who would that be? You're not running as running mate, but as the alternative, like you mentioned. And I think to shine in that respect, there are a large swath of voters in the Republican Party who want to see something different, who might be supporting Trump in these early polls because they don't want President Biden to have 4 more years, but want something different. So can you be that different candidate, maybe even focused on issues that aren't what Trump's been focused on, and have these strong policy issues that you can quickly implement if you do win in the White House?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.